Administrator for FEMA Region 10, which is headquartered here in Seattle, Washington. Regional Administrator Dunn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Administrator. Good morning, everyone. As you said, I'm the Regional Administrator for FEMA Region 10, which includes the states of Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, and 271 federally recognized tribes. Thank you, Administrator Personnel, for your leadership and an opportunity to address the Senior Disaster Management Offcials Forum. And thank you to the State Department, APEC, and all of the participating economies for recognizing that disaster preparedness is critical to the economic growth, resilience, and global prosperity. I'd like to welcome you all to Seattle and to the beautiful state of Washington. Here in Seattle, instead of saying the weather is nice, you'll often hear people say the mountain is out, referring to the majestic Mount Rainier, visible on a clear day like today to our south. We are in the Emerald City, the Evergreen State, a region defined by its natural beauty and those who relish in it. The state is home to one of the tallest mountains in the continental United States, rugged coastlines, rainforests, and desert. We currently stand on the lands of the Coast Salish people, who for centuries have been the stewards of this land, whose mark remains on our local culture and landscape. We are also a leading agricultural producer thanks to our rivers, glaciers, and volcanoes that feed our soul. We are shipping gateway of goods to and from the Pacific. We are a critical lifeline to the import-dependent state of Alaska, as well as a hub of technology and innovation that is home to internationally recognized corporations such as Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, and Starbucks, which we will visit later tomorrow. For much of my 16 years in FEMA, this region rarely experienced disasters of the same magnitude as other parts of the United States. But that has changed in the recent years. Floods, wildfires, extreme heat are now common. Entire villages, tribal villages in Alaska have had to move as their rising sea levels have engulfed their ancestral lands. And we cannot forget here in Region 10 that every day is earthquake season. We are statistically due for another big one, a massive earthquake and tsunami that will inevitably be the largest natural disaster in our history. No city, region, or corner of the world is immune to disasters and to the impacts of climate change. We must work together from the smallest neighborhoods up through the highest authorities and alongside our private sector and international partners to adapt, prepare, and invest in resilience. Entire villages, tribal villages in Alaska have had to move as their rising sea levels have engulfed their ancestral lands. And we cannot forget here in Region 10 that every day is earthquake season. We are statistically due for another big one, a massive earthquake and tsunami that will inevitably be the largest natural disaster in our history. No city, region, or corner of the world is immune to disasters and to the impacts of climate change. We must work together from the smallest neighborhoods up through the highest authorities and alongside our private sector and international partners to adapt, prepare, and invest in resilience. Tomorrow, many of you will join me and my team on a visit to Mount Vernon, Washington. This small city leveraged local, state, and federal investment to build a flood wall that not only put an end to persistent flooding of the city's downtown, but also form a part of a comprehensive plan to increase long-term safety and revitalize the local economy. We'll also pay a visit to Starbucks headquarters to learn how they are preparing their global operations, their supply chain for possible disasters, and partnering with the public sector to advance climate resilience. And finally, we'll end at the Seattle Emergency Operations Center, where we'll see firsthand how local emergency management personnel are constantly adapting to prepare this culturally and geographically diverse city for a changing disaster landscape. Investing in climate resilience and disaster preparedness is an investment in our future. As leaders in this field, it is our responsibility to spread that message to each and every one that we serve. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to this beautiful region, and I look forward to engaging in meaningful conversations, learning from each other, leaving this gathering with new ideas and concrete steps that we can all take to better prepare our respective economies for the changing risks that we all face. Thank you, and I return back to the chair.
Thank you so much, Regional Administrator Nunn. I certainly appreciate your hospitality and helping to host us here today, as well as Region 10's truly exceptional efforts to continue to support the communities across the Pacific Northwest and helping them before, during, and after disasters. All right, I'd now like to turn it over to Dr. Rebecca to provide a few remarks.
Thank you very much, dear Principal, Mr. Willie Nunn, Ambassador Matt Murray, senior officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the APEC Secretariat, I'd like to thank you for this kind invitation to be here this morning. Thank you also to the FEMA team for the excellent work that has gone into the preparation for this meeting, and to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for hosting a delightful welcome reception last night. The U.S. 2023 theme is creating a resilient and sustainable future for all. This phrase is not just aspirational. It highlights the tasks before us as we strive to shape an APEC region that works for all of us. This also highlights the increased relevance of the Emergency Preparedness Working Group and the Senior Disaster Management Offcials Forum. It bears repeating that most APEC economies are geographically located along the Pacific Ring of Fire and are therefore susceptible to constant threats of strong earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. I am from Malaysia, and Malaysia is not along the Pacific Ring of Fire, but it is nonetheless not spared the effects of extreme weather, leading to devastating floods and disruptions to lives and livelihoods. Admittedly, such events and disasters are beyond our control. However, we must recognize that over the past 2 decades, the EPWG and this forum have significantly bolstered the capacity of our member economies to better mitigate, prepare for, and respond to, and recover from emergencies and natural disasters. Of significance is the efforts to advance research and collaboration, foster public-private partnership, and share invaluable knowledge and lessons in emergency management. All these with the aim of enhancing human security and minimizing disruptions to business and trade. Last year, our APEC economic leaders agreed to the Bangkok goals on biocircular green economy. This encapsulates all the work that APEC has been doing since our leaders first met in a venue not far from here, Lake Island, in 1993, when they stated that, and I quote, "Our environment is improved as we protect the quality of our air, water, and green spaces and manage our energy resources and renewable resources to ensure sustainable growth and provide a secure future for our people." Unquote. We must continue to proactively address the heightened economic and environmental challenges and disruptions facing our region. Here I must acknowledge the thought that went into designing the roundtable and panel discussions for the meeting today. The topics are well aligned with Bangkok goals and will value add to the various initiatives being undertaken in APEC to create a resilient and sustainable future for all of us. I am particularly pleased that there's a panel in the afternoon session on women's leadership in crisis management, achieving an equitable future for the APEC region. This session holds particular interest for me, and I am aware that Ms. Diane Crystal, the FEMA administrator, holds the distinction of being the first woman confirmed by the U.S. Senate to serve in this role. When we talk about women leaders, I think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the second woman Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, and one of only 4 in the court's 232-year history. Women, she once said, belong in all places where decisions are being made. To which she also added, it shouldn't be that women are the exception. Like Ms. Ginsburg, I strongly feel that women in such positions should not be regarded as an exception, but the norm. However, we are not there yet. So congratulations, Diane. I applaud the US for recognizing and advocating for women's leadership in such an important position. Finally, as the SDMOF marks the commencement of SOM's ministerial meetings, I extend my best wishes for a seamless and successful meeting. Thank you all again, thank you again, and I look forward to fruitful discussions and meaningful outcomes during our time together. Thank you, everybody.
Dr. Rebecca, thank you very much for those words, and I think it really helps to tie together the importance of what we need to do to create a resilient future for all, and I look forward to the conversations later today as well. Ambassador Murray, we are looking forward to hearing from you about this intersection between today's meeting and the U.S. Rooster priorities and deliverables. So if you wouldn't mind spending a few moments talking about that.
Great. Well, thank you, Chair. And as U.S. Senior Official for APEC, it's a privilege to welcome all of you to Seattle. Thank you for providing us with the opportunity to discuss the United States Host Year priorities. The United States is excited to be hosting APEC in 2023, and even more excited to be back in the state of Washington, where we hosted the inaugural APEC Leaders Meeting in 1993. As has been noted, our U.S. APEC 2023 theme is creating a resilient and sustainable future for all. Our 2023 host year will specifically focus on 3 overarching policy priorities: interconnected, innovative, and inclusive. As we dive into our policy priorities and areas of focus for 2023, you will see that the cross-cutting concepts of building resilience, strengthening environmental sustainability, and advancing inclusive policies are woven across our priorities and our work. Our first policy priority is interconnected, building a resilient and interconnected region that advances broad-based economic prosperity. We believe that creating new connections and strengthening existing ties across the APEC region is at the heart of sustained economic recovery and will be critical for future growth and prosperity in the Asia-Pacific region. Throughout this Senior Disaster Management Officials Forum today, you will see a clear focus on the interconnectedness of the Asia-Pacific region. Of course, disasters require the cooperation of regional partners to both prepare for and respond to common threats. The Senior Disaster Management Officials Forum's focus on climate resilience, disaster risk reduction, and equity in emergency management is timely and a stark reminder of the significant work ahead that's needed in the APEC region. From early warning systems to supply chains, resilient infrastructure is essential to safeguard access to vital services for those most vulnerable to disasters. Our second priority is innovative, enabling an innovative environment for a sustainable future. Innovation is critical to climate resilience and disaster management, and to advancing the green economies of the future. I look forward to ministers highlighting ongoing efforts to both reduce disaster risk while working to strengthen climate adaptation and prioritize equity in emergency management programs in each economy through the updated APEC Disaster Risk Reduction Framework and Action Plan. Our third priority is inclusive, affirming an equitable and inclusive future for all. We recognize that to achieve sustained economic growth, we must ensure that all segments of our societies are able to fully participate in and benefit from an increasingly connected and globalized economy. I am pleased that you will have the opportunity here to hear from regional, local, and tribal and indigenous communities, as well as women and others most vulnerable to the impacts of disasters, who will play an important role in strategies to reduce the unequal effects of natural disasters. We hope these discussions are engaging and fruitful. During the course of our year, we have drafted 3 implementation agendas for our 2023 host year, which address various challenges in a cross-cutting manner. They are the Manoa Agenda for Sustainable and Inclusive Economies, the Digital Pacific Agenda, and the Bay Area Agenda for Resiliency and Inclusion. Of course, your work here will contribute to all 3 agendas, which we will highlight at APEC Economic Leaders Week in San Francisco in November. So we're excited to have the opportunity during the time here in Seattle from July 29th to August 21st to hold 6 ministerial meetings. But we're very excited that this is the first. So it's a great opportunity over the next day. And we'll also look forward to holding more than 200 working level meetings, workshops, and field trips over the course of our time in Seattle. And as I just noted, we'll look forward to welcoming economies to San Francisco from November 11th to 17th for APEC Economic Leaders Week, culminating in the Leaders Meeting at the end of that week. And we will plan to share more details on Leaders Week events shortly after this 3rd set of senior officials meetings and related meetings concludes in a couple weeks. So thank you again for providing us the opportunity to give a brief overview of our host year priorities. We welcome any feedback or suggestions today or any time throughout the year. We hope you have an enjoyable stay here in Seattle, and our U.S. APEC team looks forward to continuing to work with each of you in delegations in the days and weeks to come. Thank you very much, and with that, I turn it back to the chair.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Murray, and I believe those 3 goals of interconnected, innovative, and inclusive really resonate with me because it's really about our entire approach to crisis management. We are very interconnected. The challenges that we face require innovative solutions. We have to meet people where they are, make sure that we understand the barriers they have to getting the assistance that they need from us. So thank you very much for your remarks. Colleagues, the Asia-Pacific region accounts for more than 70% of global disasters. In just the last few years, catastrophic disasters from powerful typhoons, earthquakes, and extreme wildfires to prolonged droughts and abrupt landslides have caused mounting economic losses and widespread shocks across our region, with natural disaster-related losses resulting in an estimated $100 billion annually. The 21 APEC economies from both sides of the Pacific also account for almost 3 billion people and nearly 50% of global trade, which means 2 things. Frequent and severe disasters are impacting almost 40% of the global population, and complex emergencies present a serious threat to the economic growth and sustainable development of Asia Pacific. Amid this context, my message today is not one of despair. Rather, I want to emphasize the significance of our work as crisis managers, the historical moment we find ourselves in to take urgent and decisive action, and the importance of emergency preparedness in safeguarding every single community across Asia Pacific from natural disasters. We are facing one of humanity's greatest challenges, adapting to a changing climate, which is why today I want to be unequivocal about the task at hand. We must leverage our collective knowledge, partnerships, and experiences, and devise innovative, sustainable solutions to strengthen crisis management across APEC so that we can build disaster-resilient, equitable communities. Today, we are going to hear from senior disaster management officials, leaders in academia, the private and nonprofit sectors, state and local partners, and other experts about the critical issues we are encountering in crisis management. In a few minutes, we're going to start with a leader roundtable on adaptive crisis management, where we will hear from each head of delegation about how their crisis management organizations are incorporating principles of adaptability, flexibility, and meaningful change to build strong and resilient communities in the APEC region. In the afternoon, we will explore how to foster whole community integration into our decision-making processes in disaster risk reduction and ensuring we are prioritizing equity and inclusion. We are also going to have conversations about the impacts of climate on disaster housing and the importance of pre-disaster recovery planning efforts across Asia Pacific. This will be followed by a panel on nature-based solutions, which is relevant to our common objective of building resilient infrastructure. And for our last discussion of the day, I have the distinct honor of joining a conversation on women's leadership in crisis management with an exceptional group of women leaders that I think will provide very valuable insight into the way ahead. Finally, before we proceed with the rest of the program, I do just want to take a minute to highlight our logo for APEC 2023. As we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the first APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, our logo draws on previous host logos to represent the lasting partnership among APEC member economies to advance key priorities we have all strived for these past 3 decades. If you look closely, you can see that 2 shapes form a suspension bridge tower, a reference to the city of San Francisco, which will host the Leaders Week program in November. The bridge symbolizes the cooperation and collaboration among APEC economies spanning both sides of the Pacific Ocean. The icon's simple geometry is reflected in each of the host city-specific logos, creating a connection between the Leaders Week and the diversity of host locations across the United States. Overall, the bridge's apex in blue, green, and gold colors represent APEC's work toward a strong, balanced, secure, sustainable, and inclusive future. Now, before I introduce the next speaker, we are going to take a short pause as the press departs, and then we will resume our program momentarily.